have not made a strong case for this, Kyle, but I agree with the premise. DarbyCast, WildCard Friday. Hey, everybody. If you're new to the show, I'm going to present you with a choice really early. Option number 1, dig deep into your spirit and give yourself a pep talk and say, it's about damn time that I stepped up and became way cooler. I've just been coasting on mediocre for a really long time. I've been on the cruise control of average, and it's not okay. Not one bit. Option number 2, if you're newer to the show, you're already pretty cool. And to that I say, welcome. If you're in category 1 and you're not willing to step up, I invite you to turn the fucking podcast off right now. Get out. Get lost. We don't need you. But it's DarbyCast. It's WildCard Friday. Everybody loves WildCard Friday, and frankly, that's the show that we do most consistently. Kyle, can you believe we used to do 5 days a week? Really something, huh? Those were the days, weren't they? Maybe one day we'll get back to an increased output. Then the money starts rolling in, Kyle. And I'm aware our currency's tanking. Everybody's cheering on the default of the Russian currency, even though it seems to me as though this is a pretty stark indicator that the petrodollar is going the way of the dodo bird. It was only a matter of time. Every fiat currency fails, Kyle. We know this. But what does that mean? Bad times. That's right. But before we get into that, or really get into that at all, let's zero in on what Kyle and I were talking about as the show was ramping up. And what's that? A couple of you are already there in that mental lane. You know what I'm going to talk about today. But for those of you who aren't, Kyle and I were talking about slapping people and bringing it back. Kyle had no idea how that was going to start happening. I know how it would happen. It would take some first movers. It would take some people, and it wouldn't be all slappers, right? It would be some people changing a couple laws and being like, slapping's fine. It's not assault. It's not battery. It is a corrective measure that we need. I swear, if I could just slap everyone that dropped the word Kyiv, it's like, listen, you didn't even know the capital of Ukraine until like 2 weeks ago. And it's been called Kiev for a really long time. And now that you're calling it Kyiv, speaks volumes about where you get your information. I can disregard most of the things that you're about to tell me if you're calling it Kyiv. I stand with the brave people of Kyiv. Oh, do you? How you doing that? Well, like in spirit. What do you know about the spirit? I have essential oils. And that's about as far as it goes, right? But nobody wants to be in that conversation, and that's why it would be nice if you could circumvent it with a slap as soon as they said the word Kyiv, because I don't want to hear about somebody's essential oil collection. I sure don't. And I think you don't either. That's just me going out on a limb. Society was far more polite when you could slap people and when everybody was armed to the teeth. Forget the nonsense about CCWs, that's a concealed carry weapon license. I want everybody open carrying. I want the Texas model of the 80s to be universalized. It's a pretty polite society when you could just get fucking blasted at any moment if you like really messed up. And people had restraint back then. You know, they used to teach marksmanship in schools. Yeah, they wouldn't teach you about butt sex theory, which I think is going on in school. They would teach you shop and real skills and marksmanship. And recess was important. They weren't giving everybody meth. Well, certainly the boys. I don't think they really give the girls meth. They just give them birth control now, really early. All the kids are on drugs, whatever the drugs are. They're on them. But firearms and slaps. And what's the synthesis of those two things? That's right, a dueling glove. Where you pull it out of your pocket and you whack somebody in the face with it. You say, keep running your mouth. And we're going to take 10 to 15 paces from each other. And the only way this thing's getting resolved is with one of us dead. Where's that been, right? There's enough issues in this world of ours that have really cropped up. The plant has not been pruned. Pick a plant, it's overgrown. And it's covered in weeds. And you know what gardeners wear? Not specifically dueling gloves, but gloves. But we should all be spiritual and civilizational gardeners wearing a pair of dueling gloves. Do some heavy lifting and slap somebody in the face if they're really acting up. Can you imagine if somebody was just like, I am so upset about what's happening in Kyiv, and then you just went right up to him, you slapped him in the face, and you'd be like, say that one more time. Say that one more time. And they wouldn't. And society would be better for it. You know it and I know it. If you don't agree with this, maybe you haven't been listening closely enough. And you need to listen to every single episode of the DarbyCast 3 more times. That's 381 listens at this point, and I need you to just go ahead and get it done. Each episode 3 times. Then you come back to this and you say, oh, fuck, he was right. We are all civilizational gardeners needing a pair of dueling gloves and some hand cannons. Do things right. For all the people out there who say bogus crap like violence never solves anything, when was the last time that person was slapped in the face for saying something stupid? Right? And this is a male thing, okay? We're not going to go beating the hell out of chicks. But chicks can do it to each other. Don't knock it till you try it, right? That could really whip a lot of gals into shape if they knew that some chick named Randi with an I was going to call them out on their BS, slap them sideways. I am pro-lesbian enforcement of traditional social norms on women. Because lesbians, let me tell you what I know about lesbians for a second. Fierce. That's it. What, you're going to disagree with that? You ready for a swift slap to the face from Randi? Randi would put guys in check. She'd be the first one to start slapping people. In fact, you'd have to give her some coaching to scale back, and you'd be like, Randi, I don't like these left-leaning guys saying Kyiv either, but maybe scale back the curb stomps. You've killed a lot of people, Randi. A virtuous society skilled in the art of war is a polite society. Anyone else notice that society ain't so polite these days? Check that. Of course you've noticed. But you know what happens when you don't prune a garden? You get a mess. You get a mess. And in other ways, you get a rare, ideologically based zombie apocalypse. Oh yeah, we're going here, okay? I've never addressed the fetishization of zombies in American culture because I was waiting for the right time, okay? I have a couple topics that I will get to in the future, and I always have a couple in the reserve tank, the chamber, if you will. Go Second Amendment. That's a gun reference. And let's be totally clear. Let's take a time out before we get into zombies. I'm not for willy-nilly violence, okay? I am for corrective disciplinary action. And it starts with a compassionate slap to the face when somebody says something that's fucking stupid. This new variant's out of hand. Slapped. just slapped into the ground. They get up, you slap them again. You say, stay down. I'm doing this for you, not to you, you idiot. Kyle, you know about this. You have a dog. If your dog were to run into the street, you would probably be upset. The dog would get hurt. And that's why you train her occasionally with the e-collar or a pinch collar. You do it out of love. This is the human equivalent of that, and it's slapping. People will be fine after a slap. Sure, they might be a little frazzled, low T, if it's a guy. But the guys who are getting slapped were low T to begin with. So who cares, right? But let's talk about zombies for a second. Now that I've voiced that I'm not just pro random acts of violence. Because that's what criminals do. They prey on the innocent and the weak. Whereas a tasteful and targeted slap is an act of strength and compassion, not cowardice and moral bankruptcy. You don't slap somebody and then steal their wallet. You slap them and tell them, you are so wrong about so many things, I don't even know where to start. Okay, see ya. Where's that been? But zombies, my goodness. Why does the zombie thing appeal to all of us in some sort of way? A, there aren't as many people in any kind of zombie scenario. You just have like a cool crew. You're just tight with your friends, a couple family members. There's always a German Shepherd involved. No problems there. You don't have to deal with nonsense shouting Kiev at you or something about Susan B. Anthony. It's a different kind of zombie apocalypse that we're seeing right now. Zombies are brain dead, and so are a lot of people. Zombies don't have agency, nor do a lot of people. They're just kind of going with the script. And I don't know if this has been done. I don't watch a lot of zombie media, but there is a zombie king in all of this. There are zombie lieutenants. I just went from a monarchy to a military reference, but this unholy army of the damned that is the fully indoctrinated propaganda consumers of mainly Western countries. They have been conscripted into some sort of idiot chess match. And they don't know how to play chess. We all know this. Anyone who's decent at chess is right-leaning because they enjoy strategy and they understand that if they don't play well, they got to take the loss. I don't know how you would find this stat, but I would imagine in chess games globally, more chessboards are angrily flipped by people with left-leaning politics. That just sounds right, you know? And they would stop doing that really quickly if you slapped them afterwards. You said, put the fucking pieces back on the board. We're going again. Matches end with a handshake. Palmer. First name Palmer. You know that exists. You know they suck at chess. And you know a slap to the face would do them a lot of good. But why does the zombie thing sound so appealing to some people? Already I highlighted the friendship element. That's really my major takeaway. But to some of these psychos who are now like really pro-war, anyone who's really pro-war, I'm pretty suspicious of. I'm not quite sure about you. But I kind of get it, right? People have been informationally blueballed for years. We're going to lock up Hillary. We're going to get Donnie J, depending on what channel you're listening to. We're going to do this. We're going to get this. Tune in tomorrow night. I swear, we're going to get him this time. We're going to solve this. Something's super bad here. Find out more tomorrow. I get it. That's driving people insane, and I can understand why there's madness brewing in a lot of the population. But there are violent fantasies that go into the zombie thing. For some people, that it would be an act of goodness and absolution to headshot these things in a huge way. And again, I'm not pro-violence on the aggressive side. I like the tactical stuff. Send a message, achieve your desired outcome, and inflict as little harm as possible. You hear a lot of violent fantasies coming out of people these days. Very alarming stuff. They try to throw around big words, and then they talk about wanting to ice a bunch of people. And I'm just like, start with militant lesbians slapping people, okay? War is not option number one. Let's start with a grassroots slapping campaign, and then we see where it goes from there, okay? The global media always leaves clues as signposts that ultimately trace back to their nefarious dirtbaggery. I've never seen the movie World War Z, but I'm guessing there are some nuggets in there that explain some shit. Do you see the Z's on the trucks in Russia? Now, this might be a brutish and unrefined theory, because it is, but maybe you do a little digging. Maybe you help with the research project. Kyle, I'm looking at you. Why don't you watch that movie tonight, report your findings, and then maybe I'll tell people what was going on and if what I just said made any sense whatsoever. We all know that dirtbags who are string pullers are putting stuff in media. We know this. Millionaires don't do it. Billionaires do. They put the tricky stuff in there. It's pretty high level. It can be. Illuminati Mike knows this well. But let's keep talking about zombies, a subject I don't know a lot about, but conceptually I can talk about it. From my understanding of zombie media, more often than not, the zombification process is initiated with a virus. And in the case of the modern world, that virus is ideological and informational in nature. We have viral videos, we have viral posts, viral tweets. Why would we not have viral ideologies that infect a system, turn the host into a mess? Sound familiar.com? Kyle, I think that might be for sale. Why do you not have a tab open for GoDaddy at this point, with how often I name great websites, potential businesses, every show? I'll point the finger at myself and say that I've never explicitly instructed you to do so, but I would think that you would just kind of understand at this point. Shame on me first, but also shame on you, Kyle. I've got the right mind to slap you. What if this was the remedy to the ideological cancer plaguing the West? You just pay close attention to what people are saying, and when they say something that is just so untrue, you just slap them. Like, that's wrong. Then people would kind of understand, like, wow, I really don't know what I'm talking about, and unless I do, I'm liable to get slapped in a pretty substantial way. There is no consequence for putting out utter nonsense into the universe, whether it's in the digisphere or in person. This isn't even an Economics Wednesday, but this business idea that is bubbling up in my mind needs to be articulated, needs to be concretized. What's that mean? To be made solid. I would like to develop an app. And this idea is free use. Whoever is first to develop it, it's yours. It's an app that's like Uber, except they only employ sturdy lesbians who slap people. If you're unwilling to do the slap yourself, or if you're a guy and it's a lady who needs a slap, we haven't gotten to that point where that's okay. I don't know if that'll ever be okay. Again, there was a time when that happened. I don't think it was especially, I don't think it was women's favorite of the times that they've had. But we just call the app Randi, with an I, obviously. And if somebody's really mouthing off, in person or online, you dispatch a Randi their way. All of the employees who work for the Randi app get shirts that say, "Hi, I'm Randi, and you're about to get a Randi." We can play with those ideas, what the shirts say. You just got randified. Randification inbound. Welcome to Randiopolis. I'm the admissions office of Randi University, and you're about to get a course in Randiology. Randiology 101 Masterclass. Randi's teaching Randis to be better Randis. I'd be willing to wear any of these shirts if I were a lesbian who worked for the app Randi. I'm going to throw it out there. Truth be told, we needed this in like 2008 because things are so out of hand now. And you have husks of people just moving around, repeating zombie nonsense instead of saying your industry standard zombie catchphrases like brains or right, as zombies do. People are saying cave and Fauci says to mask up. These people are the walking dead in a spiritual sense. So out of touch. But what if you could just slap the spirit right back into them? Where's that? Nobody's talking about this as a viable solution. The wheels are coming off the wagon in this country, have been for quite some time, arguably since 1913. For those of you who know, you know. I'm not going to flesh that one out. Just like a little Easter egg for the scholars. Some of you right now are still obsessing over this multi-billion-dollar on-demand slapping app, which I can't really blame you for. Not one bit, actually. You're saying, wouldn't there be lawsuits aplenty? I mean, you could try, right? You could try to serve up a lawsuit, but as an attorney, you're probably going to get randied. Don't think that your fancy degree can stop you from a 7X Randi dispatching. Some people are saying, well, how do you pay for this? Obviously, you buy packs of Randi credits, bulk discounts, buy a 100-pack. You've got 100 on-demand slaps at your disposal. Some of you are wondering, well, what if you wanted multiple slaps to happen on the same person at the same time? Obviously, that's going to cost you extra. At any time, if you want to do it the old-fashioned way and just slap the person yourself, it's a little life hack for you. This would revive our economy, by the way. And we wouldn't pay in dollars, right? Dollar could be a risky thing to tack the Randi to. You got to pay with something real. Hugs and silver shillings would both be acceptable. But if you don't pay your on-demand Randi for the work that she's done, you're banned for life from the app. You got to do all your own dirty work from there on out. Some gals listening to this right now are frothing at the mouth and saying, I'm not a lesbian, but I want in. I wouldn't mind doing this professionally. I lift weights. Exceptions will be made, babe. You're in. Some of these gym chicks who are like yoked, we could use them and their muscles to quell nonsense. Extinguish it. This is the most pro-women business ever conceived. Is it not? By women, for women. To fulfill the by women part, I know it's my idea, so that doesn't really compute. But let me use a loophole and say that in this moment I identify as Randi. And I think we can all appreciate that. We've all got a little Randi in us. Rugged American spirit. Just wants to drink a Bud Heavy and enjoy some puss. That's Randi for you. No problems there. And now I'm going to go back to identifying as myself. The Randi app. By women, for women. A lot of you might be asking right now, hey, you have an uncanny ability of peering into the future. What's going to happen next? And I could get into specifics. I really could. But I'm going to string you along a little bit. Just know, I'm going to make this promise to you right here, right now. If things ever get way out of hand and there is some serious impending doom, I will warn you and say, get into the mountains. Go into the woods. Hijack a sailboat. I will tell you these things if and when that time comes. But I think that's going to do it for DarbyCast WildCard Friday. Kyle, we are now going to practice slapping one another. And by that, I mean, I'm going to practice the slaps. You're going to practice the receiving. We got to have proof of concept if we want to get investors for this. But then again, this isn't something we're doing. I gave this idea away. We still need to make sure it has a solid foundation, though, Kyle.